So Anita, well, it looks like nobody else is joining in as of right now. I saw what you asking. What was done in the last two sessions precisely? So I mean, we in the first session we discussed about the different ways in which fraud is committed and what ways in which the data set could let's say also present as cases in which fraud is committed. No, so firstly theoretical part and then a bit more contextual information about what lies in the data set. All right, and after this, uh, you just give me 1 second. Yeah, sorry. So I mean, from a theoretical perspective, how fraud is committed and what lies in the data set. What can we know from the data set that how fraud is committed? But largely, my focus has been on the EDA part. There are a lot of relationships in the data set, right, which are very interesting to know. And before we even think of doing any type of fraud analysis or anything, right, in the last session, everybody was required to come up with at least minimum five insights, which they could have let's say draw out of the whole data set, but nobody really did it except for Javed. Nobody really tried doing it. So that kind of put us on a back burner, like what needs to be done and other things. But I mean, I hope anybody else who joins in today. I know about your case. You were on vacations. At least they should have tried something in the EDA part. But let's see. Uh, I was just saying, can you share the codes with us right now? Sorry. Can you share the codes with us? Yeah, go ahead.
How to share that?
The codes, right? Yeah, so either if
What?
the if the codes are not big enough, then you can I mean copy paste them in the chat window. Otherwise, you might have to use the Google Drive to share it with me right now.
Uh, okay,
All
okay.
right, or should I make you the presenter? Kavita, would it be better?
No, 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 no. I will send you. I will send you code.
All right. Just send it. Let's just discuss about what you're doing.
Yeah.
All right, yeah.
Okay.
Any problem you're facing at your end? Okay, I've just downloaded all the information, Devita, right, which you sent to me, and I've listed it over here, right? So, just okay, let's just step by step tell me, like what was the intention behind what you did, right, and what were the kind of results do you expect here?
um
Well, I don't think so कि इसमें से सब कुछ चलेगा अभी. Maybe maybe you were onto something, and this seems let's say work in progress kind of thing, right? This won't work.
Actually, I wanted to analyze that data set manually. So the queries are which are listed by me, uh, that they are going to help me in manual EDA. So they are so basic.
Okay. See, not an issue. I mean,
First one,
these things can be the beginning of something big. Also, that's not an issue. But just explain to me, ki, as you were doing this, right? What was the intention? Even the smallest of the intentions, were okay, right? What were you trying to achieve by writing this code? The specific proc sorts and proc spec and proc means.
okay. Let me tell you first one that proc dataset, which is okay. Um, as I told you that there was some problem with while importing dataset.
Okay.
So in library,
All right.
in work library, there are two dataset. In my library, work library, there are two dataset, import and capstones. So I wanted to see that what if there are two dataset, what will the table look like. So that proc dataset is for me
Okay.
to see how that table look like.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Good.
And that okay, and second one is proc sort. So as I'm doing manual analyzing,
Analysis. Yeah.
this query will give us the least and most amount present in dataset. Okay.
Okay. So just a question here, Adilka, do you think there is some other way also in which you can find this?
Other way.
If the intention here is to find out the least and the, let's say, the largest value here, right?
No,
So I
there
think,
might be, but I don't.
okay, let's just try to recall by procedure.
Yeah.
Okay. So do you think there is a way which is impossible using proc means? Nivedha?
Uh, Proc will give us that what uh, s- like standard deviation.
Yes.
Wait.
No, no, you're right, you're right, you're right. That is what it gives us. But besides that, it also gives us the minimum, maximum values also, right?
Yeah, and here sort will give us exact value. What is the least and what is the most?
Yes. No, sort. But you also need to think of which one is going to take less amount of time and more amount of time. So we do it using, let's say, this one SAS
Okay.
third class. Let's say this one, and min and max if you were to do it, and then this is if you were to run it like this. See, it gives you the minimum and the
Yeah.
right? So the proc mean should be used for the calculating the minimum and the maximum value, preferably, right? If you use proc sort, right? In small data sets, it might not mean anything, but in larger data sets, right? It will consume almost all of your time. So and it will be useless to manually look into at that point. See what is the minimum and the maximum value over there. Secondly, in the proc sort code which you wrote here, right? It will give you the minimum and the maximum value of just one variable, right? That is the point here. But using proc sort, sorry, using proc means here, right? you can pretty much calculate the minimum and the maximum of any single numeric variable which is present in your data. Right?
Oh,
Right.
yeah.
Okay, she understood.
Thank you.
I think
And
इसके अलावा there's still more ways of doing this. You can if you
yeah,
run a
actually, now I know this. I have performed a query like mean, max, standard deviation, and NMIS. But then I thought, ki, let's have that later after analyzing
like
manually.
you
So,
don't like
but thank you
so,
again.
like so I mean just
Uh,
just just to top up on that I mean
there are two sort. There are two procs.
yeah okay
Okay.
go ahead
Again, there are two procs. I think one is wrong. First, least and most amount. Okay, there one proc sort is there. The variable is name days,
Mhm.
where we will get the destination account number.
Mhm.
So by seeing that uh, table, we will get know that which account is repeated.
Mhm. All right. So, you're speaking about this crop sort, right?
Proc sort, the variable name is given by name days. Second one.
Which one? This one, right?
No, उसके उसके
Okay,
ऊपर का.
okay, name destination, all right. Okay, yeah. So this is supposed to give us which kind of information?
Uh, this variable is named day, so the result table will show us the which account is repeated.
Right?
We can see that which account is repeated for many times, and we can see the operations done done with this account, like cash out, cash in, transfer, uh,
Right?
payment, like that. So it's, I think it's the what it's most useful
Okay. Well, I would
for
say,
me. Now I'm using this one for.
it's okay. It's okay. So I would say it is useful, but though it is partly useful for the kind of thing you're trying to do over here, I would suggest ki if you are trying to find out the duplicacy in the whole data set and how many times certain values let's say appear, and alongside how many times other values appear.
uh, Excuse me, sir.
Okay, okay, yeah, yeah, no issue. Okay, so trying to find out that kind of information, then ProcFrec is better. Using ProcFrec, you can find out duplicacy which exists and how many times specifically in a specific variable and at how many levels it exists. Right. So remember when we did ProcFrec on the class dataset, right? So we could know ki how many times age is equals to 13 appears, right? Or age is equals to 15 appears. So that is the way of finding duplicacy also in your dataset and knowing it how many times it appears. That is what ProcFrec does. And if you want to know ki, how many times, let's say, the name destination is correlated with comes along with let's say some other variable, maybe the type of transaction, and maybe some name destinations are merchant ones. Let's say in this, they will always be receiving the money. They usually would not be sending money for any purposes because usually it is not allowed. It is one thing. So you can do a name test star type. It will give you about those things. It will give you a frequency pattern about how many times to a specific account, right? What were the type of transactions that were happening to a specific destination account? So, I mean, multiple ways are possible there. So I suppose this proc sort which you wrote here, right? This is also maybe you're trying to attempt something, but you would need to write a variable's name here, right? So that you can make the proc sort work onto that. That I think maybe you were trying something else over here, but I would suggest avoid using proc sorts at all costs because proc sorts are extremely expensive in terms of the time they would take to run, right? They keep on just running all over the time. So the intention needs to be very clear. If it is for minimum, maximum, or frequency, use the proc means or the proc rec procedures. Proc sort is only for pre-analysis kind of a step. Proc sort cannot be used for analysis specifically. Right? Proc sort is always pre-analysis.
Okay.
Right. So I think your intention was in the right direction, but but maybe you were like thinking a bit two or three steps ahead. It is right that these things could have led to the kind of thing which you would have eventually achieved proc means and proc rec, but alone it cannot do.
Yes,
Right.
sir.
So okay, understandably we were doing proc rec on the table step here.
Okay.
Okay, so okay, now tell me the intention. This is actually a very good intention which can be drawn out of this step. What were you trying to deduce from this step, Savita?
Um, yes, sir. I'm listening.
No, I'm asking you, what were you trying to deduce from this step?
Then again, this actually Procfrec, as I told you, there was some problem while running the Javed. So now this much only Procfrec for only one variable I have performed step one.
Just give me one second. Just give me one second.
And actually, frankly telling,
Sorry, I'm sorry. Now I'm back. Yeah, you were saying something, Savita.
yeah, I was saying that as I told you, I have problem with that Procfrec. So now it's okay. It runs and my SAS studio didn't freeze up.
Right.
And frankly speaking, there was no intention that actually I performed this query because the proc freq and proc means these procedures are given in that what
I understand.
capstone
But
project.
but I would
So
suggest,
I have performed this one.
but I can tell you what the intention is. This is actually using the specific code which you wrote here. You can find out ki how many transactions were happening per hour.
Yeah. Okay.
This is what you can find out. This is something of very useful information because it can tell you about which are the peak hours which are available, in which the transactions happens, and which are the down hours in which the transactions don't happen. Because step in this is that hour variable and clock frequency on the hour variable tells you how many transactions were happening on specific hour. So knowingly and knowingly, Divita, this is actually a very good, let's say, inference which you could have drawn out of. Knowingly and knowingly, you actually did the right part. Good. So I can also understand what might you might have been trying on the other one. This talk means here. Yeah. No, but it is in fact. This is. I don't think we discussed about this last time either. कि ये भी किया जा सकता है. But though this is important, how much transactions are happening per hour, this is a very important metric which we need in this anyway. So proc means about proc means on the amount variable. All right, so you're pretty much going for all of the statistics here because you're not mentioning specific one. So I think you were looking out for the maybe the overall values of minimum, maximum, average, median, mode, and other things about all of this. But I would suggest this lacks a specific intention though. What this thing what you're trying to do here because it doesn't really signify anything as such. I would say, but I think this can be a good starting point. upon discussing that, I mean, what are the let's say the broad range of the amounts, right, which exist in the whole data set, right, and how those amounts are related to a specific type of transaction. You can do that, and in fact, I see in the next step, this is what you're trying to do now. This is actually far more meaningful. This is actually far more meaningful as compared to just this one. This thing, using this specific type, right? Using this type variable in the class statement, you can separate out the analysis for every type of the type variable. Getting it? So type in this dataset meant the type of transaction, and running proc means on the amount variable over here, right? You would have ran the proc means on every subtype of this type variable. So if type is cache in, right, the proc means run only on this specific thing. So after this analysis, right, as it would have came up to you, all the subtypes of the type variable as they would have came up with their analysis over to you could have compared them. What is this data set having the most, let's say, the most frequent pattern as. For example, maybe the cache ins are the most, right? Or cache outs are the most. Maybe in certain cases, let's say for the cache in or the cache out, the averages may be different. The mean values will be quite different in all of these cases. So the mean values can tell you the let's say mean and the median values combined together, right? They can tell you although the number of transactions might be happening quite a lot, the difference between the mean and the median values can tell you how spread they were, right? If they were equally spread, the mean and the median would be lying very close to each other. But if there was an outlier over there, there was one transaction which was done, which was like 100 or crores of units of money over here, right? So it would have skewed up the whole the mean value there. So I mean, it would have been better if you would have, let's say, displayed the results using PDF or maybe something else. But still, it's okay. It's out of all of things which you've tried, right? Two of them are actually very important. Two of the analysis, the intentions behind doing this, right, is actually pretty good, I would say. So this proc means data import and amount in the class of type variable. So yeah. So this is good. These two things, I would say, Devita, these two things are extremely good. I mean, as you tried them, I would suggest you try doing these two things, exactly these two things, right, on other variables also. Okay, and forget about the proc sorts mainly. Okay, they're not going to be that much useful as compared to proc rec or proc means over here. Okay, try running these things on other variables, and then and always when you do this, right, try to infer what is going to be, let's say, what is going to be the outcome of the analysis. I mean, why are you doing it? I know maybe you can write proc on the type variable also here, right? You can write proc data import table type. You can do this. Okay, you can do this also, but maybe you write it for the sake of writing it, but it can give us a very good inference. It can tell us that how many types of transactions are happening in the data set. So cash in कितने हैं हमारे, cash out कितने हैं. All right, so that information is quite useful to us in let's say in let's say when we are discussing about it. So write proc and proc means on every single variable. Okay, you use the class, use this class statement a lot. Maybe make up a cross tabulation table over here also. Cross tabulation table, if you remember, this type variable can be written over here. So this will make up a cross tabulation table. It will tell you in every hour, right, which is the step variable, what were the types of transactions which were happening. This is again very important. All right, this is again very important from knowing perspective. We can know that like how do people purchase things on the web. So I mean, as this information comes up to us, this thing can be used for, let's say, designing the right kind of campaigns and advertisements by the organization. Okay, they can't exactly tell you about fraud, but they can be used by other wings in the organization, right, to design some specific marketing or advertising campaigns for those individuals. So this I can interpret this, right. Spend more time into designing the right question, right. The answers will always be there, but which is the right question, that is something which you need to find out. Right. So I would say as you submit the capstone project, in the upcoming week, right. I would expect from you, Divita, specifically is कि you should have written proc frec and proc needs, ठीक है, for almost every single variable in the data set, ठीक है, and you should have also run the whole analysis with these class maybe statements and the cross tabulation tables also, ठीक है. This is the first thing which I expect from you, all of that code. The second thing which I expect is that you also submit the PDF reports. Okay? As the result would run, right? As the result would run, you will simply click on this button, this PDF button over here, and you can download that information as a PDF file. Okay? Of all the things which you run, you should have a PDF version of the export datasets also. Exported results, sorry, also. And lastly, what I want is ki in all of the code, I want you to write things like this: the least and the most amount present in the data set. So I just want to know the intention there. Okay, the intention is very important because intention tells me whether your mind is in the right direction or not. So in the proc rec and the proc means, do write the intention, right? And if it's right, it's wrong, it's not a problem, right? It's not a problem, but making an attempt is right now. Okay, so you can pretty much, consider the capstone project, let's say, completed in your specific case, right? If you were able to do this. Okay, Devita, declare. All right, perfect. So this is it. Then we've discussed about this thing with the about Devita, right? So Javed, can I have a look at your code this time? Yes, it is visible, Javed. All right. So, I mean, let's. Can you explain the things which you have done? Well, I can see you, but I cannot hear you, Javed. Okay, try speaking now. No, you're not audible. No, no, cannot hear you as such. So I am not sure. Anita and Divita, can you hear him? Divita and Anita, can you hear Javed? All right. I suppose Javed, maybe the problem is at your side. So, anyways, I mean, just go ahead and maybe type it up in Notepad. Just type what you're trying to say there, right? And just tell me what was the intention, right? That what was the intention, and what were you trying to deduce from the code? Okay. All right. Okay, Javed. I've just requested you to give me access to your system, the keyboard and the mouse. Can you please accept it for a moment? I'll see what the audio issue is with you. I requested that permission. When I sent you a request just right now, you must receive it. Okay, if you did not receive any request, so I am not sure. Okay, first, I don't know if why is it not showing up now. Okay, but what I wanted to do it. This will take a lot of time if let's say explain everything by writing. Just go to the audio button in the bottom right. In the bottom right, can you go to the audio button? No, 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 not this, not this, not this. In your Windows computer bottom right. Yeah, right click onto it, right click, go to properties, recording devices. Okay, so now click on this microphone thing. No, the other one, the first one. Yeah, yeah. Double click onto it. Go to levels, top levels. Can you just increase both of these things to 100 to maximum values? Can you increase them? Yeah, microphone too. Yeah. So try speaking something. Are you speaking something right now, Javed? Well, now we at least are able to hear the disturbance coming maybe from your microphone. We are able to hear the disturbance coming from a microphone, but not your exact voice. But okay, this is the maximum we could have done. So, anyways, I think you will have to continue on by typing then. Okay, so okay, I mean, you go and log into the new system. In the meanwhile, I think we can take up a short break, right? And maybe maybe we can return back in like 10 minutes. And by the time you can, in the meanwhile, you can prepare the whole system, right? Whichever you try to demonstrate, and then we can like go ahead understanding like what was the attempt we made in the code. Okay, right. So I mean, it's 10:57 right now. Okay, let's return back around 11, maybe 10 minutes later, 11:07. Let's turn back at that time. Okay, so all right. So Javed, just please make sure that in the meanwhile you have the whole setup prepared for you. Okay, it will be best in that case. चलो, तो 11:07 के ऊपर मिलता है. Javed, go ahead. I suppose you must have made up the whole setup by now, right? So I'm just making you the presenter. So made you the presenter, Javed. Can you share screen, Javed? No, I've made. I think that there are two of like you've logged in twice, right? So there is this person. I mean, where you named yourself, right? I'm making that let's say instance of you as a presenter, right? Do you want me to make the other one? Okay, I've again made you the presenter. All right, ठीक है, we can see your screen now. All right, ठीक है. तो what does it tell you about this? Can you scroll down?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Hello.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yes. Actually, I'm talking to by logging to another system. That is why.
Okay.
So what I'm trying to do here, like I said earlier, I just wanted my intention this time was to find out the outliers, good outliers or
Okay.
whatever.
All right.
So just that outliers, so that I can uh, observe. I can give. I can assure that these are transaction that is al- alarming or wrong transaction.
All right. Okay.
So if I go through it, so I found a pattern. So on the 27th, that is hours time is step one.
Mm-hmm.
So 27th. After that, if I go there, so 28th, so the transactions dip down,
Mm-hmm.
and that is amount is below 10 or 12. I mean that varies between 10 to 20. So here from 27 to 32, and if I come down further below, so starting from 50 to 50, okay, so 50 to 65, so it is 20 20 and 70.
All right. So I understand, but what does this
So
signify?
I understand, but what does this signify? 90. So actually, okay, one more thing, I was not able to do that. So I was not able to put where clause, where transaction were less than 10 times in this proc correct. So I was not able to figure out how to put that where clause where transaction happens less than 10 times. So this. So and another thing which I was not able to find out, if I say that transaction mistake take take place 10 times or 5 times or 2 times, how can I say, on what basis I can say these are the outliers? So
Well, no, no,
this was
no. These are not outliers or anything at all. This is not concerning the outliers at all. What you are attempting here, it is something else, I suppose. By using the prop tech on the step thing over here, right? What would you if you look at notice, what you try to achieve was that you try to find out ki in every single hour, right? How many the transactions were taking place. That's it. That's all that it signifies. In every specific hour, how many transactions were taking place. So in if you would scroll a bit upwards and the 26th and I think the 30th hour, there's a dip in the number of transactions which are coming over there. It simply means it is night time. That's it. All right. So, if you go by the definition of the step variable as it has been given over there, it represents 1 hour of a day. That's it. So step number one means कि as this whole data set started to let's say to be built, so it represented the first hour of the first day, right? So 30th hour would mean 24 hours means one day, so it is 30th, right? 30th hour it means the sixth hour of the second day. It is 6 a.m. in the morning, so not many people were buying things in 6 a.m. in the morning. So that is all that it shows. And you can see in 50th and 51 hour also. So 50th 50 hours is what? The 2 a.m. at night. 50th hour is 2 a.m. at night on the third day. Because 48 hours accounts for 2 days. So plus 2 करके. So रात के 12 बजे से plus 2. That means that. So it doesn't concern anything about outliers at all. It just tells us what is the distribution pattern of transactions across time. That's it.
Right. And one thing I would like to add here कि एक चीज़ और इसमें क्लासीफाई भी करना चाह रहा था कि उसमें कि इतने बजे से इतने बजे तक जो है ये जैसे टाइम में एक ऐड इफ क्लाउज करके, तो मैं सोच रहा था कि इसी में क्लासीफाई कर दूं कि जैसे अगर ये 6 है, बिलो 10 है, या ये है, या फिर इफ क्लाउज करके भी कर सकता हूँ।
No, I didn't understand. I did not understand what you said.
एक नया वेरिएबल क्रिएट करने के बाद मैं
Okay.
एक नया वेरिएबल क्रिएट कर रहा हूँ,
All right.
एक नया जहाँ पे ये अगर हमें पता चल जाता है कि मतलब 0 to 4 ट्रांजेक्शन, जहाँ पे ट्रांजेक्शन 1 और 4 से कम है, 4 है, एक बिटवीन 1 and 4, तो वो उसको मैं अलार्मिंग या फिर क्या कहते हैं 5 से 8
No, no,
लेस
Javed,
अलार्मिंग।
how is that alarming? I want to know. How is that alarming?
सो आई डिडंट हैव द बेसिस, यही बात तो मैंने आपको कहा कि दैट इज व्हाई आई डिडंट फॉर्म दैट। तो मेरे पास बेसिस नहीं था कि मैं अगर ऐसा कर रहा हूँ तो किस बेसिस पे कर रहा हूँ। दिस वाज ऑल इन माय माइंड कि अगर मैं ऐसा कुछ इस पैटर्न को नोटिस कर रहा हूँ तो ऐसा करने के लिए क्या है, क्या
See, no, see, the two large questions, Javed. I think what you had in your mind was key one aspect is about outliers, right? As you mentioned, this is was the intention with which you started up doing this, right? The second thing is that by using prop frec on the step variable. Now, what I can tell you from let's say our discussion is that they do not really relate to each other at all. Getting it? If you put a count on clock frequencies, it can simply give you a count of the transactions happening in a specific hour, and any hour can have even zero number of transactions. That is not a problem at all. That is not something of an alarming case at all. That simply means that alarming case in the case of fraud or whatever. It simply means there was a dip in the number of transactions at that point. People were sleeping at that point. So you cannot wake them up to do the transaction, correct? I think what your
uh,
analysis can be used, since it can be used to let's say further bring in certain things is maybe on certain days, even in the morning time, right? Even in the morning time, if the number of transactions is let's say less than 100, okay, then it is an alarming case. Then it is perfectly right what you are saying, okay? But from fraud perspective, it is not. It is simply from the business perspective that it is alarming. Are we saying the same thing, Javed?
सी सो इन दिस मतलब प्रॉप फ्रीक, तो इसमें हम कह सकते हैं कि किस टाइम में अगर ट्रांजेक्शन कम हो रहा है
Hmm.
और वहाँ पे उसके अगेंस्ट पे अगर ट्रांजेक्शन का जो वॉल्यूम है, अमाउंट ज़्यादा है, तो कैन वी से दैट इट इज
No,
अलार्मिंग।
no, not at all. I mean, one person could have done the transaction, could maybe a big value. That's it. So I told you, Javed, last time we keep having less value or large value does not account for fraud. It is a less value followed by a bigger value which accounts for fraud, and that also from the same person. Getting it? So understand. Take this thing out of your mind. That bigger transactions are always fraudulent. It is not fraudulent. ठीक है imagine those people who put in salaries of people, तो जिनके अकाउंट्स में से सैलरीज डिडक्ट होनी होती है उनमें तो at the end of at the end of the month, there are crores of rupees which are sent out in organizations like Reliance or whatever. वहाँ पे तो खरबों रुपए मतलब निकलते हुए अकाउंट्स में. So if they are labeled as, let's say, possibly fraudulent or possibly bad, right? Then banks are going to be foolish, right? So big amounts are not a problem. Getting it right? Small amount followed by bigger amount, right? And and that is possibly fraudulent. That is not always fraudulent. It is possibly fraudulent. Okay.
तो इन दिस केस जैसे प्रॉक फ्रीक्वेंसी अभी रन किया है, तो इस केस में जहाँ जहाँ पे ट्रांजेक्शन कम हो रहे हैं, तो उसको हम एक ब्रैकेट में डाल सकते हैं कि इसी आवर्स में ट्रांजेक्शन हमारा ज़्यादा नहीं होता है, ये बिजनेस आवर्स नहीं है हमारे.
Totally, we can put that. We can do that. I mean, वो सारे time तो देख लें कि वो they will all be the ones which are during the night time. So from usually in all of this in the industry from 1 a.m. to 5 a.m. at night, right? It is the dry time for any transaction industry. From 1 a.m. to 5 a.m. night, almost no person is awake. You would see that that is the pattern which is coming up over there. So what you can do here is Javed, you have this proc frec analysis run down to you. Correct? Now can you just go back to the code tab? Can you go back to the code? Yeah. So in this proc frec which you've used here, right? Use the output statement to output this information to a new data set. Okay? So can you do it just right now? Can you just do it right now? Use the output.
What? Okay.
After table step, right? Output out. Yeah. Space. Out. It equals to name of the data set. Let's say anything, write anything.
And next, what do you want to write?
Just run.
Sorry?
Just run. Alright, just can you show me the error which came up like log? No, not this. Go to log. Go to log. What did it say? What is the error? Which is warning? Can you go to the warning? Top.
No output data is produced because no statistics are requested in the customer.
All right. I think you need to write some statistics in the tables data set also over there. So what I was saying,
Would you please
you can revisit that top frec wala cheese maybe to do this. But what my intention was, go to the results tab. Can you go to the results tab right now? Yeah. So what you need to do is once you export this information into a new data set, okay, once you've exported this information into this new data set, right? So you will have the same kind of columns which will be there in the data set itself. Okay. Then perform up a proc frec on that data set. Okay. Maybe proc no not really proc frec. Then you can do what you are trying to do here. You will be able to just put up that where condition. You will be able to use that if condition. If there are certain hours of the day in which the number of transactions is, let's say, less than 4, less than 5, right? They are not the busiest hours of the day. So you can classify them basis this is the let's say the time of the day when the business is at loss, maybe. Getting it? So it's only when you once you've exported this information would you be able to do that part.
ओके. तो वो कैटेगराइज करने के बाद हमें क्या पता चलेगा कि जैसे ये आवर्स हैं जहाँ पे जो है नंबर ऑफ ट्रांजेक्शन कम होते हैं या ज़्यादा होते हैं, तो व्हाट डू वी गेट फ्रॉम दैट?
Well, exactly the same thing which you were saying right now. You wanted to club them up, right? एक bracket में डालना चाहते थे, right?
Insight, I mean what exact insight I will get वो
Well, that
क्लासिफाई
is
करने के बाद.
No, so I'll explain what you will get, but that is exactly what you wanted to do, by the way. The insight what you can get is that these are the business hours, right? These are non-business hours of the whole, the whole, let's say, application. The PaySim, it's the non-business hours. So in that non-business hours, maybe we can schedule our, let's say, the people who are managing the whole system and the servers capacity, and maybe every other resource which the person, which is allocated to the PaySim's whole computing system can be decreased in those non-business hours because the number of transactions is very less.
Okay, ठीक है.
Yeah.
So you were trying to tell something. So
No,
number of
this was
transactions.
all it. This was all it.
Sorry.
This was all it, what I wanted to mention.
So what can we assume being number of transaction being so less, और उससे क्या हम मतलब मान सकते हैं या मतलब उससे क्या एक assume कर सकते हैं या फिर
It means they are the
conclude कर सकते हैं.
non-business hours of the whole company. Non-business hours. Like there are not many transactions which are happening in that time.
ओके. उस आवर्स में और जो अमाउंट है, अमाउंट वेरिएबल लेके अगर हम देखते हैं अगर ज़्यादा हो रहा है तो हम कह सकते हैं कि दिस इज अलाउड क्लासीफाई करने के बाद
This is what.
नॉन बिजनेस, जैसे हमने कैटेगराइज कर दिया कि
No, I already
बिजनेस नॉन
explained that part, Javed. You cannot say these things are alarming because bigger values do not mean alarming things. All right, it could be it could be a mom sending money to her son. Okay, maybe because he has met with an accident, so he just urgently needs money. That's it. So in that case, the amount of money will be possibly big. So you cannot really say it's a fraud transaction. It is not even alarming at all. Right?
तो उसका यूज क्या होगा आगे.
Uh, Well, I told you the use right now, Javed. It is can be used by the company to allocate the right amount of resources to their servers who run the whole PaySims technology. कि per server की जो cost होती है, as I told you in the last session, कि it's huge, isn't it? So when such kind of things, these are the non-business hours, so that the capacity of those servers can be decreased. It doesn't have anything as at all to fraud. It doesn't relate to fraud at all. But like I said to Divita also, this kind of analysis which you're performing can be used by some other department in the whole, let's say, the company. This does that thing. It doesn't do any. It hasn't anything concerning fraud. Fraud. के ऊपर, if you want to find out the fraud, then you need to find out those subsequent transactions. They are the ones which where you can start thinking about fraud. अभी तो we are looking at just one observation. When we'll be looking about the observation subsequent one. Let's say one observation, then another observation next to it. Right? We'll be comparing two observations. And then you can compare those values. But you cannot as such reduce anything from one amount. It's like saying, let's say my height is 6 feet. Okay? Okay, let's say if I say am I tall, I cannot say I am tall or less without knowing how many people usually have heights less than me or how many people have heights more than me. I cannot say that, right? So only when I compare, right, my height with other ones can I say I am tall or not. Correct. So in this case also, it bigger values or shorter values cannot. I'm repeating this. Let's say for the fifth time by now. They do not represent any alarming thing or any concerning thing at all when they are considered alone. Right? They are not at all supposed to be done like this. Yeah, we should lay this discussion to rest now. Big values means let's say fraudulent cases. If you want to find out the fraudulent cases in this, right, which possibly we can discuss how we can, okay, they can be reduced only if we learn about subsequent transactions. When we are comparing one transaction with another from the same person, okay, within a short group of amount of time of let's say one step to the another step, only then we can possibly say that this could be fraud. Alright.
Okay.
Okay, so show me the rest of the code which you made. Alright, so okay, so what does this represent?
Yeah. So
Alright,
this okay. So this is basically what this is. So I have run this procedure because I just wanted to find out the anomaly,
okay.
abnormality,
Mm-hmm.
peculiarity. So what is abnormal about all the transactions? So that
Alright,
is why I choose all this. So and I also so when the like so a lot of contradictions are I mean abnormal things coming up here like median you could see that it is 76,000 and mean 1,58,000 and mod 10 lakh. तो ये तीनों ही आपस में बिल्कुल मेल नहीं खा रहे हैं और उसके बाद जो लास्ट मैंने टू स्टैंडर्ड डिवीजन निकाल के ये किया था कि उसमें कहाँ फॉल कर रहा है तो उसमें ये मैंने एक मीडियन का भी निकाला है और मीन का भी निकाला है और एक स्क्यूनेस निकाला है सो दैट कि ट्रांजेक्शन जो हो रहा है वो सबसे पहले कि तीनों में से चूज क्या करना है मीन मीडियन या मॉड क्या चूज करना है विच इज द
right,
राइट रिप्रेजेंटेटिव ऑफ एक
yeah,
तो ये है मेरा विच वन इज द राइट वन मीन इज या मीडियन या मॉड
median. In this case, it is the median because look at the standard deviation. It shows that the whole spread
सॉरी
of the data set is just too much, and the maximum value is not 10 lakh, it's 1 crore, I think. It is 1 crore, yeah. It is actually 1 crore. So 1 crore as the mode means the 1 crore is the most transacted value in the data set. If that is the case, then the and the data set spread is just way too much. So we can assume that the mean is not really the right metric for finding the central tendency of the data set. So we can use median to represent all of this.
मीडियन राइट
Yep.
तो तो मीडियन मैंने किया मीडियन के बाद फिर मैंने मीडियन प्लस टू स्टैंडर्ड डिवीजन किया तो उसका ये और स्क्यूनेस भी ले लिया कि डेटा जो है इस पे किस तरफ स्क्यूड है पॉजिटिव या नेगेटिव है तो यहाँ पे
All
तो
right.
पॉजिटिव ही आ रहा है
Mhm.
6.37 पॉजिटिवली स्क्यूड है तो दैट मीन्स कि जो मोस्ट ट्रांजेक्शन्स है वो मैं आई एम नॉट श्योर बट आई वाज जस्ट ट्राइंग टू फाइंड आउट कि वेदर आई एम राइट और नॉट कि मोस्ट ऑफ द ट्रांजेक्शन हैपनिंग above 6 lakhs.
Exactly. You're right.
So my intention is to look for only the transaction which is happening below 6 lakhs. So I have to keep an eye for that transactions.
All right. So what do you deduce from that?
अगर ये नंबर पे जाऊं तो उससे मुझे यही सजेस्ट करता है कि ट्रांजेक्शन अबव 6 lakhs it is not concerned to us. So we transaction below 6 lakhs is concerned to us.
Why?
uh, because most of the transaction happening taking place is well, average transaction. I mean, see, I'm not sure, but I was just sharing with you कि
No,
मुझे
you're right
लगा
about
वो
this fact.
काम
You're right about this fact. That most of the transactions, let's say, happen from let's say 6 lakh, right? And because अगर हम mean plus median plus 2 times standard deviation करते हैं, then we need to also do median minus 2 times standard deviation, which value is going to come up as zero, right? Because 76343 minus 2 times standard deviation करता है तो उसकी value minus में चली जाएगी जो कि zero ही है practical. ठीक है तो जीरो से लेके 6 लाख तक आर द वंस जहां पे लेट्स से मेजोरिटी ऑफ इट लेट ट्रांजैक्शन हो रही है that's fine that is the way you can interpret this but you need to also think of it ki, I mean why are you rejecting it like what is the let's say, what is the purpose of rejecting the rest of the observation for analysis in this case? Is there a specific reason you can tell me Javed?
because क्योंकि most of the transaction is मतलब skewed towards a particular side क्योंकि जो कस्टमर है वो ज़्यादातर जो है ये पर्टिकुलर ट्रांजेक्शन ये सब ये ट्रांजेक्शन जो डिनोमिनेशन है या फिर उसका मैग्नीट्यूड है, उसका मोस्ट ऑफ द कस्टमर का जो है वो यही है, इसलिए हम रिजेक्ट कर रहे हैं कि इतना नॉर्मल है, ये नॉर्मल हैपनिंग है, ये होता है इतना।
ठीक है, I would still say कि don't, I mean, if you're doing this from the outliers perspective, then 2 times standard deviation won't really work. You have to go to minimum 3 times standard deviation, because beyond 3 times standard deviation, there are very less number of observations which are left after that, and they are the ones who are genuinely the outliers. And वहां से तुम डिटेक्ट कर सकते हो कि genuinely जो outlier है वो है कौन सा. And I would just say कि just do this 3 times standard deviation, and everything which lies beyond it, right? Just don't consider them. So this mode value which क्या हुआ?
3 टाइम्स अगर मैं मीडियन का कर रहा हूँ तो ये आ रहा है 8,71,000
Yeah,
एंड 7,18,000।
yep, yep, exactly. So anything which lies beyond these numbers, right? You can use the input data set and put up a wave filter over it, and then you can consider all of the observations which have amount value greater than, only less than or equal to this median plus 3 times standard deviation, right? They should be the ones which should be considered for further analysis. And then we can say कि हाँ ठीक है, ये ठीक है, this can be done. This is the way it should be over there. ठीक है? And in this case, from a journal perspective, do understand the kind of information which you will be able to gather out of it. I mean, you mean to see the standard deviation ने कर लिया तो we would have removed the outliers. ठीक है? I think once you remove those outliers, you can create up a separate table. ठीक है? Maybe you can add it down. कि you can create up a separate table of those outliers. ठीक है? And then I think what you can do is कि look at those outliers specifically. Those will be usually very high values of transactions which are happening, and then you can, maybe if you want to, maybe manually check in the data set what were the values around this information. Getting it? So if one row is as, let's say, outlier kind of a value, let's say it is a 1 crore, so try to find which observation data set is at 1 crore, and try to find out that person who did this 1 crore wala transaction, let's say, in the whole data set, what were the other kind of transactions which he was doing sometime before it or sometimes after it. Maybe you can do this practical kind of analysis. So then you will be possibly able to detect fraud also in this. कि अगर कोई वैल्यू बहुत ज्यादा है and it is something which is being followed by very small transaction, then yes, that is a very good indicator that this could be fraud.
तो इन दिस केस पर्टिकुलरली जैसे 8,71,000 आ रहा है, तो यू मीन टू से दैट बिलो 8,71,000 ट्रांजेक्शन आर फाइन?
No, I didn't say that. I just said they can be considered. They can be considered for further analysis.
Okay, so we could remove the transaction that falls below 8,71,000 and particularly focus on which is way above 9 lakh, more than 9 lakh, right?
No, I am not saying that, David. I am saying by once you do this mean plus 3 times standard deviation, median plus 3 times standard deviation, right? Most of the transactions lie over there. Alright. Now, any observation which lies above this are genuinely very high numbers which were not transacted way too much in the whole data set. Okay? Do we agree on this point number one?
Okay.
Right? Do we agree, yes or no? Yes or no, Javed?
Could you please tell me a bit more about that? What you are
Alright, ठीक है. So once we do median plus 3 times standard deviation, right? So you know that pretty much encompasses 95% of the whole data set, correct? Yes or no?
yes,
Okay,
95%.
yes, okay, yes, we agree on this part. Now we know that 95% of transactions happened within which have happened are less than equal to 8,71,000. Okay. Now any observation which lies above it is part of that small pool of 5% observations. Correct? Now in this small pool
Uh-huh.
of 5% observations, right, these have been transacted very less number of times by very less number of people. Correct? Correct?
Right.
Yes or no?
Mm-hmm.
No, yes or
Yes,
no?
yes.
All right, yes. The third point is if they have been let's say done by very less number of people, so the first candidates for a fraud analysis are these observations. Getting it?
Yes.
All right, the first candidate, because they have been done by very small number of people and have been done very infrequently. and they're all large. They all qualify as good indicators for a possible fraudulent analysis के हम further कर सकते हैं. Now, in this whole data set of millions of rows, you finally reached on to the small number of rows, right, which could be fraudulent. And instead of होता है ना कि बहुत कुछ करने से बजाय get one thing right, right? So हम पूरे data set में से fraud ढूंढने निकल गए, right? We might not end up finding those right rows which are fraudulent. Instead of that, let's focus right in the beginning only on those 5% rows. ठीक है? Let's focus on only 5% rows. अब 5% रोज के ऊपर नेक्स्ट स्टेप हम क्या करेंगे कि उन 5% रोज के ऊपर यू कैन यूज दोस 5% रोज टू फाइंड आउट कि हु डिड दोस ट्रांजैक्शंस. ठीक है, इन द फर्स्ट प्लेस. ऑलराइट, डू वी एग्री ऑन दिस? डू यू नो हाउ टू डू दिस?
Could you please repeat 5% rows के ऊपर क्या करेंगे? I could not hear it clearly.
So those 5% observations, right, that can be tallied in the original data set, right, to find out ki which all people did that transactions. ठीक है?
Okay.
ठीक है? Agree? Do you agree on this or not?
Right.
Right. Okay. From the point number 5. So once we know the people who are doing these transactions, right, we can possibly say कि if the fraud has been committed, so these people are the first candidates. These people are the first candidates to be analyzed for further analysis. Okay? Do we agree on this? Yes or no?
Yes.
All right. So
Yes.
point number 7 is now you start looking into the transactions done by only these people instead of running your code on all of the other people also, which possibly, let's say, are maybe some of them might be still be frauded, but let's say we can look into this. After we've done with the 5% of the transactions, these people, once you're looking at these transactions, then you can see how do you compare. Then go on to compare every row with the with subsequently the next row, and once you compare it with them, then you can say that these are transactions which could possibly be frauded. Now the question is, you'll ask how do you compare one row with the another? That is what you will be asking. How do you compare one row with the another? The best and the most powerful method to do this thing is to use macros. Alright. So if you want to compare a row with the next one, right, use simget function, okay, to load value of the amount variable into a macro variable, okay, and then using simget, right,
Okay.
when the new observation has been read from the data set, okay, in the data step, right, use simget to retrieve that previous value which used to exist in the previous row, and then you compare it. And if you compare it after that, right, if it is an immediate jump which has occurred, then you can label that as a possibly foreign transaction.
तो इस केस में जो ट्रांजैक्शन आईडी होगा वो रिपीट हो रहा होगा.
क्या हुआ?
जो ट्रांजैक्शन आईडी है वो 2 बार आ रहा होगा 2 रो में, तभी हम सिमगेट यूज कर सकते हैं.
No. Simget, you remember what Simget was?
मींस मैं जावेद हूँ और जावेद ने एक बार 5 रुपए का ट्रांजैक्शन किया और दूसरी बार 7 लाख का ट्रांजैक्शन किया.
Yeah.
तो जावेद शुड बी द सेम both row name, my name,
Yes,
and
name orange.
transaction ID.
Name orange. Name orange signifies from where the transaction is originating from.
So to run the SimGate, in order to run the SimGate, so there should be some criteria, na? The transaction ID should be the same. That is how we can say that okay, this transaction is followed by this transaction. तभी हम कह सकते हैं
No, there's no. What you need to do is to make sure that you're getting transactions from the same person. That's the same person, right? You simply need to sort the data set, right? And sort the data set by सबसे पहले proc sort में, when you use by statement, name the first variable name which you have to put up over there is name orange. Okay, so firstly we can be assured that every other observation, right, will be sorted by using name orange in the beginning. Then the next variable in the same proc sort procedure which we have to use is step variable. So by using name orange comma step, right, what you will be able to achieve is you will be able to get hour by hour transactions of any single person whose name is in the name orange variable. Okay, understand this part?
yes, but हमारे जो हमारा कैपस्टोन डेटा है उसमें तो ये दोनों वेरिएबल तो है ही नहीं ना, मैं इसलिए पूछ रहा था.
कौन से नहीं है?
कैपस्टोन जो डेटा है,
Yeah.
उसमें तो नेम एज वगैरह तो कुछ है ही नहीं ना।
Name age means
मतलब कुछ वैसा ये जैसे कस्टमर आईडी हो गया या ट्रांजेक्शन आईडी हो गया, ऐसा कुछ अभी वो तो क्लियर नहीं है कि ये कस्टमर है जो ये ट्रांजेक्शन कर रहा है, ऐसा कुछ।
alright. So just give me 1 second.
So you could see that so we have the variable is flagged, is fraud, new balance, destination, old balance.
No, no, hold on. मेरा मेरा यहाँ पे Kaggle लोड नहीं कर रहा, इसलिए okay, it's available now. Okay, so can you like read out what's on what's highlighted on the screen right now, David?
Sorry,
Can you read out what I've highlighted on the screen right now?
name origin.
Yeah. So what does it tell you?
The customer who started the transaction.
Exactly. So when I said ki the proc sort which you have to write, right? Proc sort, let's say data is equals to input data set, right? Let's say capstone, okay? And when I write name origin, so what do you think is going to happen in this? अगर मैं इसको ऐसे करता हूँ, right? So tell me कि what is going to be the output in this case?
Origin को मैंने age समझ लिया. That is why the confusion was.
Age?
Actually, I thought you were talking about name and age.
No, I'm not speaking about name or age. I'm saying name origin.
No, okay. That is why the confusion was about.
All right. I think वो audio issues हो सकते हैं, not an issue. ठीक है. तो name origin is what I'm speaking about. कि it says the customer who started the transaction. All right. So if I were to do this thing कि proc sort data is equals to capstone and then by name origin here, right? तो सबसे पहले तो ये उन पूरे डेटा सेट को सॉर्ट करेगा by using the name originated कि जिसने ट्रांजैक्शन को स्टार्ट किया. ठीक है. नाउ लेट्स से कि अगर मेरा जो क्रेडिट कार्ड है या पेसिम का जो अकाउंट है किसी किसी फ्रॉडली किसी और के पास पहुंच चुका हुआ है, तो मैं नेम ऑरिज यूज करके पहले तो उन सारी ओरिजिनेटिंग जो लोग हैं उनके नाम को मैं सॉर्ट करता हूँ. ठीक है. सेकेंड चीज मेरे लिए प्रॉब्लम ये है कि आई एम नॉट आई डोंट नो कि आई नीड टू ऑल्सो मेक श्योर कि जो नेम ऑरिज की मैं ट्रांजैक्शन को ट्रैक कर रहा हूँ, राइट, दैट इज डन स्टेप बाय स्टेप. That that whatever transaction happened, let's say in the first hour, it should be followed by the transactions occurring in the second hour, then third hour, then fourth hour. Because fraud usually has to be tracked in a way that it is, if it happened in the first hour, so usually, if the small transaction happened in the first hour, then the larger transaction will possibly occur very soon. It is going to occur very soon in the first hour itself, or it is going to occur in the second hour itself. So I need to sort my data set using the step variable also here. Okay. So once I've used this name origin comma step, so all of my data set is now lined up using the person who did the transaction and the time we were doing this transaction. Okay. Now on this data set, once you make this data set, have you understood what this data set will bring up as an output? Yes or no?
Sorry.
Have you understood what this what the kind of output data would this produce?
So it is going to sort by first name and origin and then by a step.
I know first name I've not written anywhere. I've not used first name anywhere. I've just used two variables there, name, origin and step.
तो पहले नेम तो असेंडिंग ऑर्डर में करेगा, पहले नेम ऑरिजिन को करेगा, उसके बाद स्टेप को करेगा.
Yes.
SAS वर्क करता है जैसे.
Yes, exactly. You would want the whole thing to be done in an ascending order. तो ये इसके अंदर जो डेटा सेट अब लाइन अप करेगा तो इट विल बी लाइक दिस. लेट्स से इफ इट इज जावेद, ठीक है, it will be like transactions done in the first hour, then let's say other observations, then it will be maybe like this. So it would have sorted it like this. So this would have meant that, let's say this was a transaction done from your account in the first hour itself. There were two transactions done in that specific 1 hour. So this is what it was going to do. That this would mean that this is only one observation, means that there was just one transaction done by you in the second hour, then the third and the fifth and then the 10th one. अब इसका फायदा ये है कि मान लो कि your account was, let's say, in the hands of somebody else over there. So what this person would have done is कि in this first row, right? Maybe he did a transaction for just 10 rupees, okay? And then he straight away went for this 10 lakh. This is the pattern which we are looking for fraud. Getting it? This is the pattern which we are looking for possibly fraudulent cases. Possibly fraudulent cases. Okay? So in this jump which is coming up right now, how do you detect this jump basically? Because if you use the data step here, okay, if you use, let's say, the data step here, तो data step जो है वो तो चीजें step by step चीजों को read कर सकता है. You know that it can read only one observation at a time. ठीक है? You can only read one observation at a time. How do you remember what came before, so that once this transaction is being read, right, you can just recall the value which was coming before and then compare it. Okay, how do you do that? That is what I was explaining, that you can do that using macro, simput and the sim get functions. That is what you can do over there. Now, you tell me कि, I mean, are we clear on this part? Yes or no? Do you understand कि इसका output जो है, it will look like this? Do you understand this part specifically?
Yes, I get it.
Alright, okay. So we can move to the next step here. कि if you're clear with this, then on this test data set which is created over here, right? Then the capstone project को जब हमने set किया यहाँ पे, can you tell me कि how are we going to save this value in a macro variable? Can you tell me
How we are going to see?
how इसको रीड करते हैं ना, सेट कैप्स्टोन को रीड करना शुरू किया मैंने, इसने it brought up this one. हमें इस ऑब्जर्वेशन की अमाउंट वैल्यू को इस ऑब्जर्वेशन की अमाउंट वैल्यू से हमने कंपेयर करना. ठीक है? गेटिंग इट? Yes or no? Agree or disagree?
नहीं, yes करना है, ऐसे ही कंपेयर करना है.
Right? We need to compare somehow. If this was, let's say, a very small transaction and immediately a bigger transaction was done, this could be fraudulent, right? Now we can only say that this is a bigger transaction if we compare it against something else, right? अगर हम इसको compare करें किसी against, उसके बाद में ही हम कह सकते हैं this was a bigger one. So we need to compare these two values, with each other. Now, how do you do that? How do you do this? Can you tell me, Javed, in how many ways have you learned how to do this? Or maybe even one or two ways?
Actually, right now I have to work on it. But the one thing is that in underscore error, I mean retain a statement. Yeah,
No, 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 Javed, you're again getting distracted. No, I'm asking you a very simple question. I'm asking you a very simple question. How do you compare values in multiple observations? We've done this part when we did macros. We did this part when we were doing in macros. The question which we solved in that class was, if we had to compare which decade had, we wanted to show which decade registered the greatest dip in the number of accidents. Right? How do you do that? So in that case, if we wanted to find out which decade had the greatest dip, we had to compare different decades. Correct? We will have to compare different decades to see which decade has the has the highest number of dip, right? Highest dip in the number of accidents. So we were comparing observations in that case also. So just answer this question. Don't get distracted. कि अगर हमें इन दोनों वैल्यूज को कंपेयर करना है तो how would you do it?
I mean I would like to assign some value to both rows.
Okay, so कैसे?
जैसे डेकेड वाले में हमने किया था ना कि 90 80 ये सब करके वो उसको जो
no, इसके अंदर वो जरूरत नहीं है. इसके अंदर वो जरूरत नहीं है. इसके अंदर let me rephrase the question here. उस टाइम के ऊपर हम ये भी कर सकते थे कि which year had the greatest dip in the number of air crash accident. उसके लिए हमें कुछ नहीं चाहिए था. हमें कुछ floor और वो ceiling function जो यूज किया था तब, we don't require it. But so in this case, tell me कि there is no transformation or anything is needed. Now let's just simply answer this question. If you had to compare these two values, right, in SAS, how would you do it?
I I will do if in
Right?
in n2 greater than n1
If,
underscore n
okay,
if n n
all right,
greater than uh, underscore error.
all right. So what would we achieve by this?
अगर जावेद अगर एक दो बार रिपीट हो रहा है तो एक बार जीरो होगा एक बार वन होगा तो आई
No,
मीन
no, 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 no. Where is that coming from? It will not be 0 or 1.
सॉरी
No, it will not be 0 or 1. Why would it be 0 or 1 if Javed is repeating?
क्योंकि जो नेम ऑरिज है वो अगर दो बार आ रहा है ना अगर हम सॉर्ट करेंगे
Hmm?
अगर वो दो बार आ रहा है तो पहली बार में वो क्या होगा कि जीरो हो जाएगा एंड द
Why? No,
सेकंड
no, no.
टाइम इट
Why? Why? Why would it be 0?
विल बिकॉज ये दैट्स ऑटोमेटिकली क्रिएट्स टू
No,
टू
it
वेरिएबल
doesn't.
ना
No, it doesn't. Error, जो error वाली चीज होती है, that comes up only when you are importing data sets into SAS. अगर हम डेटा लाइन से कार्ड्स वाली स्टेटमेंट्स को यूज करके अगर हम उसको इंपोर्ट करते हैं, राइट, only then the error वाली thing comes up, and that error also shows up when there was a problem in reading the data from that specific thing, from that specific CSV file, when there was a error in reading the specific row. So that is the reason it will label it as error. But otherwise, in spacing data set, there will not be even one observation. There will not be even one observation which has a value of error equal to 1. There will not even be. And definitely it is not linked to the names of the name origin. It is not linked to it at all. So ये वाली चीज तो I mean गलत है, मतलब I mean it will not occur like this. But what do you think? How many other ways can we do this?
सो आई मीन रिटेन ऑरिज करके नहीं कर सकते जीरो
क्या चीज?
रिटेन स्टेटमेंट से नेम ऑरिज करके और उसमें ऐड करते ऐड
Exactly,
करके नहीं कर
exactly.
सकते
Now you're right. Using retain, it is possible. Definitely using
हाँ
retain, it is possible to do it using retain statement.
हाँ तो उसके बाद ये करना है हाँ
Yes,
रिटेन
exactly.
स्टेटमेंट
Using retain statement, if you want to do it right, if you write retain amount, ठीक है, ठीक है. If you let's say retain इसको AMT कर लेते हैं, तो yes, we write now AMT is equals to amount, ठीक है. In this case, so then we can write up a condition here if, okay, which you mentioned here, that if the a amount which is the current one now, ठीक है, this amount is coming up from the current row. इसको मैं प्रॉपर लिख देता हूं मैं, अमाउंट प्रेफ, ठीक है, एंड previous, right? Now we can compare if amount, let's say, is greater than, ठीक है, let's say a certain factor which is like 200. If it is, let's say, greater than 200 times the amount pref, right, then maybe output as into the new data set, whatever else, the typical one. You can do this thing here. Yes. Yeah. Using retain statement, it is definitely the right way of doing it. Using retain, you can retain the values of the current row, which is like the 10 value here. So when this row is being read, you retain the value of 10. Its value will be available to you when you read in the information from the next row also. ठीक है? So As this information comes up, let's say as this amount comes up, you can now compare it using the value which has been stored in the retain variable. ठीक है, then you can compare it. Now usually अब होता क्या है कि मैंने यहाँ पे एक रेशियो को यूज किया है. These are the kind of ratios which organizations, the bank side, they pretty much keep it to themselves, right? They tell you कि what is the ratio here. So what is the minimum ratio that qualifies if the jump has been registered from 10 rupees to, let's say, immediately 10 lakh rupees. So that jump has to be factored in somewhere. That jump has to be factored in somewhere to say this is possibly a foreign transaction. So these ratios, right? If it is these ratios right now assume some, or in, let's say, in organizations in like this, the SAS का जैसे मैंने show किया था वहाँ पे you can simply enter these values, or maybe if the organization has a specific value that they need to put up over there, it will be available to you at that instant. But उसके पीछे जो SAS code रन कर रहा होता है वो ऐसा ही SAS code होता है जो रन करता है. ठीक है, so do we understand this?
Yes.
ठीक है, गुड. तो आई मीन इस चीज को हम मैक्रो से भी कर सकते थे. वी कुड डू दिस थिंग यूजिंग मैक्रोस आल्सो. मे बी यू ट्राई विजिटिंग दी that session about macros, the last session where we were discussing about the those subsequent years and decades of कैसे compare करते हैं. So at that point also, I mean, you can see over there. ठीक है, तो जी है. और I mean, let's take a very 5-minute break right now. ठीक है, just need to get some water, and after that we return and we discuss about rest of the code which you've written over here. ठीक है, I think it's just you right now. So you, I mean, I think after doing this, we can pretty much wrap this up. ठीक है, all right. So let's return back at 12:10 p.m. ठीक है.
So Dilnoor, the code you just wrote, could you please paste it on?
I can do this, but don't use this thing exactly. There might be some problems or bugs in it. ठीक है. क्या चीज?
Just for reference, I'm just asking.
हाँ, you can do this. इस केस के अंदर कुछ I think this if the placement of this if might be some ऊपर या नीचे कहीं ना कहीं होएगी. Maybe just think of it and just wrote this thing in a hurry. ठीक है. So there's another way of doing it using macros also. Maybe in the next 5 minutes just try revisiting it. इस macros में हमने कैसे किया था. उस केस के अंदर इस चीज की जरूरत नहीं थी हमें retain statement की. We could have just used this call simget here. Sorry, simput. And एक variable के अंदर, let's say amount prev, right? We would have stored the amount variable here. That's it. ठीक है? This is what we would have done. Amount prev के अंदर हमने ये चीज कर दी. And यहाँ पे इसके बाद में we could have done is we could have created up a new variable, let's say x. ठीक है? This is the well, and we would have done simget, and we would have placed this specific value. So then we would have compared this thing with x. ये था उसका. तो इस केस के अंदर जब हमने सेट किया इसको in the capstone वाले डेटा सेट को, right? So using call simput, we were able to store the value of amount which is in that specific row. इस specific row में जो 10 की value है, we were able to save it in a global macro variable. We were able to save it. And once this has happened, right, using this simget thing over here, right, we can call what was the amount previously. So when this thing runs for the first time, there is nothing in the amount prep. This is something. Sorry, I think इसको ना end में रखना है. Yes. So now it will work. So इस case के अंदर when this thing runs for the first time, so there is nothing in amount prep. So x value is a missing value. So there is no let's say chance this won't run because this is a missing value. So missing value को compare नहीं करेगा, and the first observation, this will be output into the test data set itself over here. But from the second point onwards, false input, क्योंकि पहली बारी में जावेद when this was there, right? तो उस हमने amount prep के अंदर 10 को store कर दिया था. So the next time, the next observation when it is run in the capstone thing over here, so the next time it is run, this capstone thing, so you can still get the previous amount, and now you can validly compare the current amount which is now in the specific row, which is this 10 lakhs, 1 lakhs with the previous amount. Then you can compare it. And this ratio, as I mentioned to you, it is an arbitrary value. Every organization will have a different one because yeah, every every bank doesn't have equally good customers. Maybe there are very small banks like Dena Bank or the JNK Bank, right? They don't really transact that much, right? Not many people on them, you can say, are very affluent people. Okay? But in case of like HDFC or ICIC, right, almost all of India is over there. तो उन लोगों के लिए जो मल्टीप्लिकेशन फैक्टर्स है राइट दैट इज पॉसिबल कि मे बी इफ देयर ऑल ऑफ द अकाउंट होल्डर्स इन देयर बैंक राइट दे विल हैव अ लॉट ऑफ मनी सो दे विल नो दैट कि 10 लाख तो कोई छोटा सा अमाउंट ही है हम लोग मतलब हमारे इंडिविजुअल्स के लिए तो we need to have bigger multiplicative factors over there but let's say in smaller banks maybe Dena Bank or JNK Bank or something like that right maybe you know what maybe less of a multiplicative factor is required over there so right now choose up a value and then basis that you can let's say see whether this thing is okay or not. Okay, so I'm just sharing this part of the code also with you. Maybe for reference you can use this. Okay. Now let's just return back after 5 minutes at 12:15. Okay. All right. All right, Javed. So I'm making you the presenter again. I made you the presenter, Javed. Now share your screen and show me rest part of the code. Javed, can you hear me?
Yes. Hello.
All right, just share your screen. All right, show the code. Show me the code. Javed, can you hear me? All right.
Yeah, Dilnoor.
Yeah, yeah, I
So
can hear you. I can hear you. Show me the code. All right, ठीक है तो you were the last thing which you were trying there was that you were trying to classify uh, the amount by the type of transactions which are happening. ठीक है तो tell me the intention behind it. Yeah, tell me the intention, Javed.
this one, na?
Yeah.
Yeah, the intention was to just understanding of the business activities. So, by which channel, how much volume of business is taking place. So this was the
Okay.
intention.
All right. So what can you deduce here? Tell me.
And so actually, so basically, peculiarities which I can find here now is minimum amount transaction actually cash in, cash out 0.37, 0.01, 0.260. So actually this sounds peculiar and abnormal because the transaction amount is very, mm, I mean, minute. So I mean this is something we can focus on.
Okay.
Minimum amount transaction. And other is we can take percentage of the volume, see how much, what is the cashing percentage of the transaction,
Mhm.
cash out
Does the does the mean value or the standard deviation value tell you something?
yes, the mean is already there, so we can also get a table and I mean, which is not here actually. So
No, what I'm asking is, ki, does the mean and the standard deviation values tell you anything about the volume of business and the type of business and other things?
so it's also very I mean abnormal because you could see that 1,20,000 is a mean value and the standard deviation goes on 1,28,000.
Hmm?
Okay, so I
No,
mean,
no, Javed,
lot of
Javed, again,
variability.
Javed, you again getting distracted. I'm not asking about abnormality or outlier. I'm not asking about those things at all. I'm simply
You're
asking you
talking.
this. Simply asking you one question. Ki, uh, does it tell you anything about the volume of business and other thing? Because the first question I asked you when you ran this code was, ki, what was the intention? You said ki it is about volume of business, right? That is what the kind of behavior which you wanted to say about. So I'm not speaking about outliers or anomalies at all over here. Okay, that is a separate question. That is a separate intention that we can open up a conversation upon. But right now, let's focus only upon the volume of business. I'm just asking questions basis what you told me. I'm not making them up right now. Okay. My first question to you is, if you the intention which you mentioned there about the volume of business and other things, right? So in that case, by looking at the mean and the standard deviation values over there, right? What can you say?
See, this is self-explanatory. That is why I'm talking about that aspect. But we could see that in terms of payment amount, so it is transfer amount that is 6,34,000. So the mean of that is highest. So transfer is the I mean the it shows that the average transfer is higher than any of the I mean facilities or components here, and the volume of transaction, so payment, so number of payments done, so here 227, and see so payment, and so cash out, so number of volumes of I mean frequency, so cash out is I mean cash out is at first position, followed by payment and then cash in,
Okay.
and the last one is the debit amount is the debit transaction of frequency of debit is 7178, so it is the minimum one. So these kind of things
Okay,
I mean we
I
can.
will again ask the same question, Javed. Does the mean and standard deviation tell you anything? I'll again ask you the same question, which I'm asking. Now you're speaking about the number of observations. I'm not asking you about number of observations. I'm asking you about mean and standard deviation. Does that tell you anything?
In this regard, I can only say there is a lot of variability. I mean,
Good.
yeah,
Then
standard deviation.
this is exactly the answer I was looking for. Getting it? I mean, I'm exactly the answer which I'm looking for. As an advice to you, I believe I mean, a lot of things goes around in your mind, right? It's a very curious mind. I can see that, right? But you just need to focus on one thing at a time to solve it. It's taken you 5 minutes to reach this specific answer, which you could have given in the very first place. I'm just like this specific thing is variability. So all of these transactions which are happening, right? There's a lot of difference, a lot of major differences which have are over here among the type of transactions which are happening here. One of the very curious things to look about in this case is he, which of those types, right, have the lowest standard deviation. The lowest standard deviation of payment means that there isn't much spread of the amounts which were involved in this type of transaction called payment. There wasn't much, so we can safely say once we are analyzing, let's say the fraud cases in this, right? Let's say we are analyzing fraud. Payment is not something जहाँ पे fraud हुआ है, because if the kind of fraud happened, right, जहाँ पे छोटी वैल्यू से एकदम से बहुत जंप करता है बड़ी वैल्यू के ऊपर, right? So उस केसेस में स्टैंड डेविएशन यूजुअली बहुत ज्यादा आती है. There will be order of those, let's say, even 50,000, 60,000, 70,000 kind of a thing. So right away you can understand कि पेमेंट वाली चीज पे एटलीस्ट जो हमारा फ्रॉड फाइंड करने का तरीका नंबर वन था, वो तो शायद इट्स नॉट समथिंग which might come up over. ठीक है. So do we understand this thing, Javed, or not? Yes or no?
Could you please tell me again the payment wali thing?
This the standard deviation value is the smallest of all of those numbers, right? Yes or no?
Payment one.
Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
So if it's the smallest of all of them, standard deviation measures the spread of the data. Correct? So if it measures the
Right.
spread of the data, this means that for payment specifically, for the type of for the variable name, the type, right? It's subtype of payment, right? It did not had much variability. It did not had much spread of the kind of values in payment. Yes or no, Javed? Am I right or not?
Yes.
All right. So if it did not had much of a variability for payments, so we can say that कि अगर बहुत variability नहीं है तो जो हमारा logic number one है कि the let's say one major possible ways of fraud to happen is that we track कि a smaller transaction followed by a bigger transaction happens. So in those kind of situations, right, the smaller transaction हमने वहाँ पे 10 लिया था और हमने jump लिया था उससे 1 लाख का. Right, 10 से 1 लाख तक जा रहा है तो then we can analyze, scrutinize it for fraud analysis. That is what we can do over there. Now in this jump which was happening, इन दोनों numbers की standard deviation calculate करके देखें. 10 से 10 लाख तक की standard deviation calculate करके देखें, that number itself will be big, right? So in those cases where the numbers will not jump that much, if it ranges from 10 to 100 for example, मान ले अगर मैं सारी वैल्यूज ही हमारे पेमेंट के लिए रेंज करती है, लेट्स से 100 से 150 तक, देयर इज नो अदर वैल्यू व्हिच इज अ बिग जंप एट ऑल. 100 150 इसी के बीच में सब कुछ वेरी कर रहा है, उसकी स्टैंडर्ड डेविएशन 90 114 तक अप्रोक्सीमेटली निकलेगी. दिस मींस कि वो इतना बड़ा जंप है ही नहीं पेमेंट्स में. एटलीस्ट if somebody was hacked into my credit card or my paysim account and he was trying to do a transaction of 1 rupee and then immediately he did a transaction of let's say 1 lakh rupees, इन दोनों जो स्टैंड डेविएशन बहुत ज्यादा है. करेक्ट, राइट? तो अगर ज्यादा आती है इस चीज के अंदर तो आई मीन देन वी कैन पॉसिबली एनालाइज इट फॉर फ्रॉड. बट पेमेंट एज सच इसका बहुत लो वैल्यू आ रही है एज कम्पेयर टू द अदर वन, तो ये नंबर वन कंटेंडर तो हमारा नहीं हुआ टू फाइंड आउट व्हाट फ्रॉड इज. इसमें फ्रॉड हो सकता है. फ्रॉड सबसे ज्यादा जिसमें होगा ना वो वही होगा जिसमें स्टैंड डेविएशन सबसे ज्यादा होगी, बिकॉज वहां पे स्प्रेड ऑफ वैल्यूज बहुत ज्यादा है कि बहुत छोटी ट्रांजैक्शन भी हुई है उसमें और बहुत बड़ी ट्रांजैक्शन भी हुई है. और जहां पे भी ये वाला कॉम्बिनेशन आ रहा है देन या इट इज पॉसिबल कि वहां पे फ्रॉड हुआ होगा. तो पे ट्रांसफर, द ट्रांसफर टाइप जो है दैट इज आवर फर्स्ट कंटेंडर फॉर डूइंग दिस काइंड ऑफ एनालिसिस, क्योंकि इसकी स्टैंड डेविएशन बहुत ही ज्यादा है. इसकी तो आई मीन मीन से भी आई थिंक मीन जितनी है उसकी स्टैंड डेविएशन, which is like a big thing altogether. Just think of it, mean जितनी standard deviation होना मतलब बहुत बड़ी बात हो जाती है. And I think in the maximum
And
value, yeah,
in debit also, standard deviation is much more than mean.
which one? Debit, yeah, हाँ हाँ. तो उस केस के अंदर भी मीन से वो ज्यादा ही है, तो इसका इसका standard deviation का तो मतलब यही हुआ ना कि there is one observation which is very big as compared to rest of all of them. क्योंकि अगर एक ऑब्जर्वेशन बहुत बड़ी है एज कम्पेयर टू अदर वन, दिस मीन्स की स्प्रेड कर देगी, इट विल इंक्रीज द स्प्रेड ऑफ द होल डेटा सेट, विच इज करेक्ट. डेबिट के लिए कर दिया और वो मीन को भी अपनी तरफ को खींच लेगी. करेंगे वो बड़ी ऑब्जर्वेशन जो है मीन को अपनी तरफ को खींच लेगी और वो स्टैंडर्ड डेविएशन को भी बढ़ा देगी. तो in that case that one big transaction or couple of big transactions like that are the ones which can possibly scrutinize for fraud, and you're right about this. गेटिंग इट. मतलब अभी तक हमने अगर अगर हम अभी कोई डीप एनालिसिस या कुछ कुछ भी ना करें, सिर्फ प्रॉक मीन्स इज इनफ. गेटिंग इट. द प्रॉक मीन्स थिंग इज इनफ टू मतलब आई मीन फाइंड आउट द राइट मेथोडोलॉजी, द राइट प्लान फॉर डूइंग एन एनालिसिस ऑफ सच बिग काइंड ऑफ थिंग्स. सो अभी तक हमने अगर हम इस टाइम के ऊपर आई मीन डेव डाउन करते हैं मोर डीपर एनालिसिस के अंदर, राइट? तो यही वो चीजें हैं जो कि इंडिकेटर्स जाते हैं फर्दर एनालिसिस के अंदर। Getting it? So, do you understand the intention, the right interpretation of the intention you had while writing this code? Getting it?
Okay. Yes. Actually, what happens, I mean, many a times I think that this is self-explanatory, and unless I find something unique, so I must not be sharing with you. So this is
Okay.
why I was
नहीं
not
होता है,
able
नहीं
to.
ठीक है, होता मेरे साथ भी काफी बारी होता है, इसलिए कह रहा हूँ सी अंडरस्टैंड कि we share at least one thing कि we're just curious people, right? I like to know a lot of things, you also need to you would like to know a lot of things, right? But it's just that कि you need you know what, you possibly need to organize a bit of things in your mind when you try to learn something new. Whenever you're learning something new, I think these are the similar kind of problems maybe you have. I'm not sure, so maybe हो सकता है. Just take one, let's say one mountain at a time and then climb it. ठीक है, आई वुड से दैट. एंड इस केस के अंदर भी जो सेल्फ एक्सप्लेनेटरी चीजें थी, लाइक द सेकंड पार्ट ऑफ इट, राइट? इट इज समथिंग व्हिच इज वेरी वैल्यूएबल टू लेट्स से योर मैनेजर. मैनेजर के लिए वो सेल्फ एक्सप्लेनेटरी नहीं है, वो सेल्फ एक्सप्लेनेटरी नहीं थी, इसीलिए उसने तुम्हें हायर किया हुआ था. तो इफ ही इज हायर्ड यू, तो आई मीन यू नीड टू एक्सप्लेन हिम इन उसके शब्दों में. ठीक है, तो मैं सिर्फ सेम क्यों बिजनेस में बोलते हैं ना कि इंग्लिश में बात करो यार, टेक्निकल शब्दों में नहीं, इंग्लिश में बात करो. अब इंग्लिश इन द सेंस जैसे कि नॉर्मल लैंग्वेज, ह्यूमन लैंग्वेज में बात करो rather than टेक्निकल लैंग्वेज. सो ये सेल्फ एक्सप्लेनेटरी तुम्हारे मैनेजर के लिए नहीं होगी. ठीक है, तो द मोर यू राइट, आई वुड से द बेटर इट वुड बी. So what I want from Javed you is कि in this all of this क्या कहते हैं इसको, the outcome which you need to submit for your capstone project. ठीक है, ये पॉसिबली मुझे पता है कि सब लोगों में सबसे ज्यादा जो आउटपुट है इट्स गोना बी कमिंग फ्रॉम यू. ठीक है, आई नो दैट, व्हिच इज राइट. सो द पॉइंट इज कि यू नीड टू फ्रेम द राइट क्वेश्चन. बेसिकली क्वेश्चन चीज बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट होती है, जो कि इंटेंशन स्टार्ट होता है कि मैं क्यों कर रहा हूँ. क्यों वाली चीज का आंसर देना बहुत जरूरी है डेटा एनालिटिक्स के अंदर. आंसर्स तो हमेशा आएंगे. ठीक है, ऑलराइट. ठीक है जावेद, आई मीन this is all about it. I mean you can do a healthy capstone project submission. Just make sure कि these are the things which you need to do. ठीक है, the problem जो तीन चीजें मैंने कही है, राइट? एंड जस्ट डू इट ऑन एवरी सिंगल वेरिएबल. आई वुड से एवरी सिंगल वेरिएबल पे करो. ठीक है, टेक टाइम. वो वेरिएबल में तो तुम्हें पता है कॉपी पेस्ट ही करना है तुम्हें, यू नो कि हर वेरिएबल के लिए तुम्हें कॉपी पेस्ट ही करना पड़ेगा. जिस चीज के ऊपर तुम्हें समय लगाना है सोचने के लिए, वो ये है कि उस स्पेसिफिक वेरिएबल के ऊपर करेक्ट लगाने के बाद में, राइट, व्हाट वाज द इंटेंशन, मुझे मिलेगा क्या. ये इस चीज का आंसर देना बहुत जरूरी है कि क्या होगा उस. वो चीजें हैं जो कि एक्चुअली मैं मतलब आई वुड लाइक टू सी द मोस्ट व्हेन आई इवैल्यूएट ऑफ द कैप्स्टोन प्रोजेक्ट एंड एवरीथिंग एल्स. ठीक है, these three things, can you do it? I think 100-150 लाइंस ऑफ कोड तो बन जाएगा इससे. एंड मे बी उतनी ही बड़ी एक्सप्लेनेशन भी देना, मे बी उसी कमेंट्स में लिख के देना. नॉट डू नॉट राइट इट इन एनी अदर डॉक्यूमेंट और एक्सेल शीट और व्हाटएवर. कोड के ऊपर ही कमेंट्स के अंदर ही लिखना होना चाहिए कि व्हाट वाज द इंटेंशन विद व्हिच यू डिड दैट. ठीक है, so if we do this, I think I'll be very happy with the whole capstone. ठीक है जावेद?
और उसको सबमिट LMS पे.
हाँ, LMS पे.
ठीक है, I'll do it.
ठीक है, तो अभी आई थिंक हाँ, अभी आई थिंक 1 वीक तो है सभी के पास में. इस जो आज का जो हमने बातचीत की है इसके ऊपर और ज्यादा उसके ऊपर गुफ्तगू करने के लिए. ठीक है, और दे कैन स्पेंड 1 वीक ट्राइंग टू मेक मोर कोड आउट ऑफ इट. आई थिंक 1 वीक शायद टॉप के ऊपर और मिलता है. सो वी गॉट 2 वीक्स इन एंटायरिटी टू सबमिट द कंप्लीट कैप्सूल प्रोजेक्ट टू देम. बट आई वुड सजेस्ट कि राइट द कोड. ठीक है, उसको कमेंट आउट कर दो, कमेंट कर दो क्यों कर रहे हो, दैट विल बी इनफ. I'm not expecting anything jazzy out of the whole thing. कुछ बहुत मैं jazzy expect नहीं करता. Simple, the best things in life are the simplest ones. तो वही चीज पे start करो सबसे पहले. ठीक है? So getting it all good, all good, Javed. Any other question which you want to ask?
Yes. So this is going to be the last class.
Yes, this is the last class.
Okay. So when I submit my capstone,
Hmm?
as you suggested that by next I should submit it.
Hmm.
So how would I know whether it is being evaluated? You got it? What you are doing or something like that?
Well, I think there's an email for the previous batches. Vishnu Vijayan ने email भेजी थी. I think they announced the winners of the capstone prize. That thing, right? I उस चीज के लिए if the prize is still there right now, because for the previous batches there was, if they still give the prizes for this batch also, which I know they will, right? So they will communicate it to you. Okay, they will also give you reminders that these are the people who have submitted, not submitted the capstone project. Otherwise, right, uh, there is, I mean, we evaluate it at our own end, right? We don't, let's say, give it out to the people who उसका result क्या था, because code में कुछ सही और गलत नहीं है. Getting it? There's no correct, incorrect or wrong things in all of this. It's just about whether it produces a specific kind of an output or not. राइट. अगर तुझे वन टू वन पूछना हुआ बाद में तो यू कैन कॉल मी अप एनी टाइम, राइट. तब हम बात कर सकते हैं कि लेट्स से कि व्हाट वाज द क्वालिटी ऑफ सबमिशन ऑफ योर कैप्स्टोन प्रोजेक्ट. बट एज सच आई एम नॉट श्योर, बिकॉज वो उस ईमेल में मैं नहीं होता हूँ. मे बी दे सेंड ईमेल्स टू कैप्स्टोन पीपल कि उनका इवैल्यूएशन क्या थी, मे बी दे डू. ठीक है, बट उन ईमेल से मैं नहीं होता, सो दिस द रीजन आई डोंट नो अबाउट इट एग्जैक्टली. ठीक है, so it's only a specific things, let's say job responsibilities to everybody in this. ठीक है, anything else you want to ask?
No, thank you.
और ठीक है, तो बस ये चीज है जावेद. तो I mean pretty much the only person left out there. तो like I said before, you have my email address and my phone number, right, Javed?
Right, right.
Right. So I
Yes.
mean, इससे बोले चले कि I would really love to be in contact. ठीक है, मतलब I mean, uh, wherever you go and whatever you do, I would like to know the success story behind and everything. So that was clear. So stay in touch. Again, this is also a message for everybody else who was not able to participate in this session, right? You have my email addresses and phone numbers, so do contact me up. Okay, if you feel like there is a need or necessity over there. Baki, just understand ki, I mean, the whole SAS thing and everything which we did in all of these sessions, just understand this ki, this is a beginning, right? Okay, this is the means to be to something big. Okay, you have to work on this, right, as much as you can. Okay, and I would really suggest, like at the beginning of the sessions, ki, you should you should pursue those certification exams whenever you can. Okay, our courseware was exactly aligned to those certification exams. Okay, except for that SAS advanced part, where the last part about optimization. Okay, rest everything which we discussed was part of SAS based and SAS advanced. That small 10% of the courseware in SAS advanced, that is we don't cover because that is very abstract. ठीक है, optimization में तुम कैसे बताओगे optimize कैसे करना? For that you need to be a programmer already to do that part. But for everything else, our course is exactly aligned to that. So if you read those books by SAS preparation guides, which are called the base preparation guides and advanced preparation guides, buy them up, right? You will see the examples and the kind of teaching methodology and the topics especially are the same as which you saw over here. So you can refer to SAS preparation guides. You can refer to those videos which we delivered to you here, right? And do give those certification exams whenever you can. They're like credentials which will get stick to you, and they're very major credentials. I lay my success to great extent to those certification exams, because after getting those certification exams, I need not prove anything yet to anybody. Okay? They knew I was certified. That's it. They knew I was certified, so I was not
So
proving to
record.
anybody.
So how many times? I mean, how much amount of time required for the? I mean, preparation for certification?
See, when I did it, I did it alongside with my job in 2.5 months. Right?
In my case,
I don't know in your case ki tera kitna. Look, when I graduated, right, I was not a computers engineer. I'm an electronics engineer. I did not had any specific formal background in programming either. I never had it. Okay, so I learned programming with SAS. So it began me from zero to, let's say, clearing of the certification exam in 2.5 months. That is alongside with my job, and that is without having been through any kind of like say these classes, online classes, or let's say normal classes. No classes at all. This is all self reading which I did. All right, this is what it is. So 2.5 months it took me. Possibly it might take you as much amount of time or it may be less. Okay, this is what I would suggest. Ki, do give the certification exams. It should take you less time than that. But the golden thing to remember in this, the most important thing is in this case is ki, your certification, clearing process will become very easy if you get those SAS preparation guides basically. Okay, like
hmm
if you get those guides, they are the ones which will be, let's say, quite of an immense use to you. So those things, like I said, they will be quite important to you. And I mean, the SAS, if you follow the chapter by chapter over there, most of the questions which SAS asks, right, is from that book. Okay, and they will, even the lines, the terminologies are the same, exactly the same. So once you clear the certification exams, right, that is when your value would increase like anything. So I would suggest ki, let's say ki, I know ki everybody might have a tough schedule ahead, right, ahead of the year. Maybe let's say ki, if till December, right, aspire to clear the first certification exam, which is the base certification exam. Okay, it is enough. It's a very major career addition which you can have. It proves firstly to any employer that you are a programmer. पहली चीज तो ये प्रूव करता है. There is no other programming test available, right? कौन सा programming test available होता है? कोई SAS programming, जब SAS programmer का तुम्हें जब certification मिलता है, right? So everybody knows कि you're a programmer. Second thing, they also know कि you are aware about data analytics in journal, right? This is the reason you went for SAS. And lastly, right, you also know the SAS, the how do you use this, how to use the SAS software also. That is also what they ask over there. In the certification exams, एक दो questions आते हैं, which are simply about कि very simple things about what is a work library में क्या होता है, like what is the simple thing about the library things, something specific to SAS, things which are specific to SAS, they ask over there. So you'll find a great benefit in a lot of things in life by getting that certification exam. And that certification exam is you can give that certification exam repeated number of times. ऐसा नहीं कि तुम्हें नहीं दे सकते बार बार. And you can give that certification exam any day, basically. So it's like the GRE kind of a thing कि वो all 365 days of the year the exam keeps on running. ठीक है? Uh, 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 keeps on happening. I think there's specific centers allocated to it. So you just need to book a slot and go over there and give the test. That's it. So after you've given the test, the results are immediately available to you. And let's say if you unfortunately you fail, then I think there is a waiting period of 3 months for you to give the test again. There's a waiting period. So if you fail, the money is not returned to you, the money of the certification exam, and there is a waiting period of 3 months for you to give the exam again. Okay,
Okay.
बस यही है. Right?
I,
Yeah.
I will consider it to do this year. I will certainly.
Different, Javed. I mean, I, I sincerely believe you will be able to do it. Okay, I would suggest you get hold of those books. Okay, buy those books, everyone. And I mean, after you've done with those books, I mean, just it's very simple because most of the things will look familiar to you now after having gone through this course of digital vidya. And for us, it was like a beginning thing. शुरू से start कर रहे थे हम कि प्रोग्रामिंग में सेमी कोलन की क्या वैल्यू होती है, रन का मतलब क्या है, क्विट का मतलब क्या है, उसमें बहुत टाइम लगता है यार, उसी में ही बहुत ज्यादा टाइम लगता है इन चीजों को समझने के लिए. But now at least you have a basic understanding of it. There's a basic understanding of what these things mean. And in that thing, what I would suggest is कि base certification exam, I remember there were around 20 to 22 chapters over there. ठीक है? So I would suggest कि begin with one chapter per week. Even if you begin with one chapter per week, right, by the end of this year, you will be very sufficiently, I mean, good in clearing up that certification. That one chapters in that book are not very difficult, and they are from the same kind of topics which we delivered you in Digital Vidya. And I created up the courseware for this thing, partly at least from the SAS functions. Sorry, not from the procs. From the class where we began with the procs one. From the fifth session onwards, all the content which has been created is by me, that colorful content, and then I prepared up the syllabus for all of this also. Okay, what are we going to teach here, right? So when I did that, I referred to those certification books. What are the topics and content in those books over there? Getting it, so that that as the session ends over here, right? Any person moving graduating from digital vidya's courses, right? They can straight away jump onto the certification books and simply relate to it. कि okay, ये तो मैंने किया था. Oh, this is what I did. This is the reason all of my sessions have been about. They have been interviews, how to crack those interviews, how to get those certification exams going in. And once you start reading those certification prep guides on your own self, right, you will see that every single thing which we discussed, right, was the topic wise was from that part. So you will find it, relatively easy than what I found out. 2.5 महीने लगे थे मुझे करने के लिए. ठीक है, उस चीज को बिल्कुल स्क्रैच. ऑलराइट, ठीक है जावेद, ऑल
Okay.
गुड.
All okay. Thank you very much.
All right, ठीक है जावेद. तो I mean, uh, for those people who will be listening to the recording, thanks everyone. I mean, just stay in touch. You have my email address and my phone number, right? I would really like to see your success story coming up, right? And don't hesitate calling me or let's say, asking me anything. Even if after this is all over, we can schedule a time. We can schedule up a time and we can discuss or about anything related to your career or anything which you want to. Okay? All right. Goodbye, everyone. It was nice
Okay.
having you all of you for the past five months. I think 5 or 6 months it has been. We've been speaking about this. It was great having you all. It was a great audience which we had this time. We're very inquisitive and curious people all around. It was brilliant. Okay? Thanks, everyone. Thank you, Javed.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. Bye bye.
Bye bye.